I don't know how I'm still here. I really don't. I'm so tired. Not the I need sleep kind. It's the kind of tired that sits in your bones. The kind that makes it hard to breathe. The kind where you wake up and feel like you've already run a marathon, but all you did was open your eyes. Since my dad died, I haven't had a single second to catch my breath. His death wasn't peaceful. It wasn't quiet. It was traumatic in a way I still can't bring myself to describe, and it shattered something in me. I can't explain the weight of watching someone you love go like that. And I feel like the universe hasn't stopped kicking me since. Every time I try to stand, another blow comes. Another wave. Another loss. It just doesn't fucking stop. Recently, someone else I cared about deeply died. Koos. My darts partner. My friend. One of the few people in my life who made me feel like I could actually be myself without judgment. He was always so full of joy, always smiling, like the kind of man who carried light with him wherever he went. Darts was hard for me. I doubted myself a lot. But Koos? He made it fun again. Winning didn't matter to him. He made me feel like I mattered. Before every match, he'd smile and say, "Are you ready, partner?" And for those moments, I believed in myself. I believed in us. I felt safe. Now he's gone, and it feels like I've lost my dad all over again. He and his brother JK were inseparable, one of those rare sibling bonds that you can't even describe without getting emotional. Koos was the gentle one. Patient. Kind. The kind of person who makes you feel seen without ever having to say a word. JK tries to push me out of my shell, not in a bad way, just different, but Koos? Koos held space for me. Quietly. Softly. And now I sit across from JK, watching him grieve his other half, and I don't know what to do. I want to help him. I want to be strong for him. But how do you comfort someone when you're bleeding too? Last night, we sat together, me, JK, and someone else, and they started talking about loss. About pain. I wanted so badly to speak. To say something. Anything. I had this massive lump in my throat, like barbed wire, like it would tear me open if I tried. And when I finally did try, they just spoke over me. Like I wasn't there. Like I didn't exist. That moment broke something in me. Because I realized it's always like that. I've never really been able to talk. To vent. To just be honest about how deeply I'm struggling. Every time I try, people interrupt. Dismiss. Change the subject. I feel like I'm screaming underwater and no one even looks up. I don't know how to keep carrying this alone. I'm falling apart, piece by piece. My body hurts. My mind won't slow down. My heart feels like it's rotting from the inside. And I'm so scared, because I don't know how close I am to giving up. I don't want to die. I want to live. I want to feel the sun again without this weight. But it feels like the only time I'm allowed to feel anything is when I'm alone, in the dark, crying into a pillow so no one hears me. I just want someone, anyone, to hold my pain with me for a minute. To not try to fix it. Not silence it. Just say, I hear you. I see you. You matter. Because right now, I don't feel like I matter to anyone. And that hurts more than I can say. Let me analyze this story for you. This story is a deeply emotional, unfiltered portrait of someone grappling with immense, compounding grief, emotional neglect, and a profound sense of isolation that has eroded their will to keep going. At its core, it is not just a narrative of loss, but of being left behind emotionally, of living through tragedy after tragedy with no room to process, no space to rest, and no one willing to sit in the darkness beside them. The death of the narrator's father is the first major rupture, not just in their life but in their psyche. It was a traumatic, violent loss, not the kind of quiet passing that some people prepare for, but the kind that shatters your nervous system, that changes how you breathe, how you sleep, how you exist. They describe a sense of exhaustion that is not physical, but existential, a tiredness woven into the fabric of their being, a kind of chronic despair that persists no matter how much rest they get. This is the kind of fatigue that comes from holding in years of unspoken anguish, from wearing a mask for too long, from shouldering the weight of grief without the relief of being seen, heard, or validated. The recent death of Koos, their darts partner and friend, peels open this still bleeding wound. Koos wasn't just a friend, he was one of the rare people who gave the narrator permission to be themselves, who met them with joy, lightness, patience, and a quiet acceptance that made life feel a little more livable. He didn't just make darts fun, he made the narrator feel worthy, safe, and human in a world that often made them feel like a burden. Losing him was more than losing a teammate, it was like losing a safe place, a mirror of comfort and recognition. It compounded their previous trauma, creating an unbearable emotional echo that reminded them how alone they really are. Even the people who are still around, like Koos's brother JK, aren't quite able to hold the space the narrator so desperately needs. There's a tragic irony in watching someone else grieve when you're grieving too, and feeling like you have to be the strong one even as your own soul is collapsing. It brings out the central agony of this story. How do you comfort others when you are barely keeping your own head above water? The most devastating element, though, is the persistent invisibility the narrator feels. The moment at the end, when they try to speak about their pain and are talked over, ignored, is not just a minor social discomfort. It's a culmination of years of emotional neglect and invalidation. It's a metaphor for their entire internal experience. The world keeps moving, keeps talking, keeps ignoring, while they are drowning. And when they finally try to cry out, their voice doesn't even register. This moment becomes the breaking point, not because it's the worst thing that ever happened, but because it affirms the unrelenting truth they've come to believe, that their pain doesn't matter, that they don't matter. They're not asking to be saved, or even fixed, they're asking for someone to sit with them, to simply see them, to acknowledge the weight they're carrying without rushing in to cover it up or explain it away. The fact that this simple human need has gone unmet for so long is what makes this narrative so deeply tragic. What elevates this story beyond a typical account of grief is the clarity and intensity with which the narrator expresses their internal state. They articulate the kind of sorrow that lives not on the surface, but deep inside the body, the kind that makes existing feel like a constant struggle. They are not numb, they are too full of feeling, but those feelings have nowhere to go. The story does not shy away from the uncomfortable truth that sometimes, the desire to live is not enough when you feel chronically unseen and unheard. The narrator doesn't want to die, they want to feel alive. They want to feel sunlight without the weight, to cry without shame, to speak without being silenced. And more than anything, they want proof that they still matter, to someone, to anyone. This cry for recognition, for presence, for emotional witness, is as human as it gets. It's a reminder of how vital it is to listen, to notice, to care, and how catastrophic it can be when that care is withheld.